It's completely gone, short sleeves as well. Just flip it right over.
Hey, how's it going everyone? Welcome back to the channel and welcome to a bit of a different video to my last one. My last video was a huge project, months in the making. It took a lot of work and a lot of editing, so I kind of want to change the pace. I'm just going to sit on my sofa, talk to the camera about something that's happened recently, and specifically, I want to talk about a recent magic gig I performed at that is quite possibly the most exciting gig I have ever performed at. Recently on the channel, I've spoken about my paid performances more than usual, and it's something that I've really enjoyed sharing. Performing magic is by far my favourite thing to do in magic, or maybe in life in general. I love performing magic, and I want to talk about those gigs more. I want to talk about the highs, I want to talk about the lows, I want to talk about funny things that have happened at gigs, and maybe advice from magic gigs. So make sure to let me know down in the comments what you want to see me talk about, because I am so open to talk about that. Now, if you don't know me, I have never performed outside of England, which is where I live. Most of my gigs take place in the northwest of England, which is why it was very surprising when about a year ago, I get a message from someone asking me to perform at their wedding in Italy, which was kind of mind-blowing. I didn't really take it seriously at first, to be honest. I just sort of thought, wow, that sounds really exciting. Sure, I'll go for it. So I submitted a quote, I sent in my stuff, and before I knew it, they'd hired me. They had chosen me to perform at their wedding in another country, which I have never done before. And it was at that moment it really struck me like, oh my god, I am actually going to have to fly to another country specifically to perform magic. That is so cool. Magic has taken me to some amazing places, and I have met some incredible people and had some incredible experiences because of magic. But flying to another country just to perform magic just felt so exciting. I don't think that will ever not be exciting. Before I knew it, the gig was just days away, and so I got to work packing my repertoire and deciding which tricks I was going to take to Italy and which I was going to leave behind. There were some sort of bigger props, some weird looking props that I thought maybe couldn't get through customs. I left those behind, and I chose a repertoire I was really happy with. If you're wondering which trick definitely couldn't make it through customs, then it would have to be the bag of white powder, which is definitely not what it looks like. This is a magic prop. It does a very cool trick, but definitely not a trick I could perform internationally. I flew to and stayed in Rome, even though the gig itself was actually a 3.5-hour journey outside of Rome. But I thought it would be a brilliant opportunity to see a city I've never seen, and oh my goodness, Rome is incredible. Genuinely a really beautiful city. Far too hot for this pasty white man, but beautiful nonetheless, and I really enjoyed seeing it. So when the day of the gig actually arrived, I travelled out to a region called Perugia, a sort of city called Perugia, which is, again, fantastic, beautiful, and just take a look at their public transport system. They have something called the mini metro, which I feel like I have to mention in this video, and although it's a single track, it's kind of in a loop, so when it reaches the end of the track itself rotates so the pod can head back the other way. It's this brilliant, like, automated system. I thought it was pretty cool. So yeah, that was in Perugia. Once I arrived there was then another half-hour journey to the actual venue, and the venue itself was genuinely one of the most beautiful places I've ever seen. It was this like castle on a hill overlooking the Italian countryside. It was, yeah, a phenomenal venue. The wedding itself was just so like magical in itself, and so performing magic there, just like the setting had written itself. The thing about performing walk around magic is you're not in control of the environment, right? So on stage, when you're doing stage performances, you're much more in control of the environment. You can decide the lighting, you can decide the sound, you can decide what the set looks like. But when you're performing walk around magic, all of those things have been decided for you. The only thing you really get to decide is like yourself, you know, the tricks, the presentation, the costume, the way you are. That's the only thing you're in control of. But here, I was already in a really magical setting, and so it just felt like everything had come together perfectly. I was hired to do a couple of hours of magic. I ended up staying for almost 3 hours just because it was really needed, it was really necessary, and I'd flown to the country to do this one thing. I really didn't have anywhere to rush off to, so I may as well entertain the guests while they still want more. Despite the undeniably amazing location, I really was not planning on getting any footage of me performing magic at this gig. Sometimes it's just not the right atmosphere and whipping your phone camera out just feels a bit forced and feels a bit awkward, and you really don't want to trample on the event that you're performing at. Luckily for me, there was an opportunity where I could get some magic filmed. There was a group that were really up for it, and so I did.
What's your name? Charlie, nice to meet you. And your name is? Scarlett. Alright, just trying to remember that. Wallet with anything in it, because I do magic for a living. Can you hold out one hand for me? And I'll just put that in your hand, and place your drink on top. You don't have a free hand, so we'll just make sure no one can get to that wallet, essentially. And can you hold out one finger for me? And just touch anywhere in the pocket. This card right here, this one. Fantastic, we'll take this one. Jack of Hearts, perfect. Can you hold the rest of this? What we'll do is ring Jack of Hearts.
Shut up.
It's completely gone, short sleeves as well. You may lift your drink away. I don't even want to touch the wallet, in fact, that would be unfair. Can you turn it over? Just flip it right over. There is a piece in there, but it's only impressive if it matches perfectly, so we'll slide this out. Again, I'm not going to switch it or anything funny like that, but
Shut up.
that looks like
Wow.
That is always one of my favourite effects, always such a treat. And in this same video clip, there was also a moment where I dropped the cards on camera, which never happens. I don't really do that. I can't remember the last time I dropped cards, but of course it's the one time that a camera is rolling. I dropped some cards, I kind of get away with it, I kind of make a joke out of it. It's not the end of the world, but it's just funny that the one time I film is the one time I drop cards. Like, that is such a cliche way of getting things wrong. After I finished performing for this group on camera, I then went on to show them Ambitious Card. I held my hands up. It has become somewhat of a staple in my repertoire after I made that video about performing it. I just seem to keep performing it. I've kind of switched it up a little bit. There's a couple of extra things that I throw in, but it's still definitely a 3-phase routine. So, little update to that video, I'm still performing Ambitious Card, and I'm still loving it. Now, I have spoken about all of the highs and all of the joys from this gig, and of course there are many, many more. But there was one downside, one challenge, one thing that I had to overcome which was completely unavoidable, and I've kind of already mentioned it. The heat. I have never performed magic in 37 degrees C heat before, but that is how hot it was. The cards I was using were kind of bowing and getting that horrible click that they get when they're all sort of humid and hot. I knew that the heat would be a bit of a challenge, but I didn't expect it to affect the props as much as it did. Like, even things like leather wallets, you know, black leather wallets in that heat that had sort of been left in the heat, they were hot to the touch. And like I say, cards were suffering in the heat. That was something I hadn't quite anticipated. So it was a little extra challenge thrown in for good measure, but overall, what an experience. Once the gig was over, I took the 3.5-hour journey back into Rome and then flew back to Manchester. And honestly, looking back on the whole thing, it is like, wow, like I did that. That is incredible. Many of you might not know this, but I am not a full-time magician. Magic is not my full-time job. It makes up a large percentage of my income and pays the rent and pays the bills, whatever, but I have another job. I have a muggle job that I do on the side, and being able to put so much love and so much attention on my magic recently has just been incredible. And as someone who maybe wants to do this full-time in the future, well, I say maybe, definitely wants to do this full-time in the future, experiences like this are so important and so valuable in my journey, and hopefully I get many more of those in the future. So if you're looking to hire a magician, doesn't matter where in the world, for the right price, I will come over and perform in your country. So there we have it for this video. If you enjoyed this one, you know what to do. Hit the thumbs up button down below, and if you're new to the channel, make sure to subscribe. And one last thing I want to tell you about is my live show. If you haven't heard the news, I am doing a one-man live stage show performing magic and mentalism, and it's happening in my hometown of Manchester on Saturday, the 19th of October. So if you can make it to Manchester on that day, it would be an absolute pleasure to see you there. Tickets are still available. There is a link down in the description where you can pick them up. They are just £10 plus booking fee, which I think is a really, really fair price. The show is going to be so much fun. It's going to be an hour of impossible entertainment. I hope to see you there if you can make it. Thanks for watching. I will see you in the next video. Until then, take care.